And I just felt like invincible, you know, like nothing around me could hurt me or nothing bad could happen to me or anything like that. You know, just felt like I knew everything. And
I went to jail. I've gone to jail about 5 times for under the influence and possession. I went to jail one time for possession of paraphernalia.
go against people that actually care about you, and you just don't even realize it.
I would get meth monsters, is what we used to call them. I would see things. And
what would you see?
Just weird things like people and cows, just weird stuff.
Where would they come from?
The walls and stuff.
I did have hallucinations, like, you know, there was a piece of plywood outside. I thought it was some guy with a flannel stalking me. You know, you see things, you know, like a leaf move and you think it's a mountain lion, or, you know, if you're out in the dark woods or whatever. And so I'd see things, you know, that it was just a tree, but my imagination would turn it, you know, the drugs would turn it into like a big scary person coming at me, or a mountain lion stalking me. You know, even in my house, where definitely no mountain lions are, you know. So it did create hallucinations of all sorts.
Were you seeing things?
Yeah, staying up for that long, you start seeing things.
Did you see shadow people?
Yeah, shadow people are pretty cool. No, I'm just kidding. So, like, it would just be like certain things would move, and you would think that it was like coming at you.
This drug, crystal meth, is particularly dangerous. It causes paranoia, schizophrenia, sometimes violent behavior, inattentiveness, inability to sit still, inability to sleep, and sometimes prolonged periods of sleeping. It causes the cells in the brain, the neurons, to have a sustained release of dopamine, making the kid feel really, really great till he runs out of dopamine in his neurons, and then he feels really, really bad, and he crashes. So what does he do to make up for that? He takes more methamphetamine. This is called tweaking.
Well, one time I was living in a trailer at sea. Someone that looked like little green men put a ladder on my trailer and walked on my roof, and I was done. I was up all night tweaking on that, thinking there was people on my roof trying to get me. Yeah, you think it's funny, but at the time it's not.
The longest I was up was 2 months before I started freaking out.
Uh-huh. Well, how long would you stay awake for before you fall asleep?
As long as I had meth.
And how many days would that be, you think?
A lot.
A lot?
Not a lot, like weeks.
How long would you stay up at one time?
The worst time was a week.
How'd your mouth feel while you were taking it?
Oh, horrible. That was the worst part. You'd get the fuzzy slippers on your teeth and the cotton mouth and your tongue. You'd get like weird like designs on your tongue, and nothing would quench your thirst, and you're talking a mile a minute. So
what did you drink to quench your thirst?
Anywhere from, should have been drinking water because that's what you're supposed to do, but it got worse because I'm drinking soda.
I mean, notice that you've had 6 root canals done across your front teeth.
Yeah.
5 posts,
Yeah.
5 crowns, and you came in here mostly today because this tooth over here, this canine, broke. Okay, now, here's the question. You ready? You ready? Okay. Between the 6 root canals, 5 posts, and 5 crowns that the dentists were all doing on you, because these teeth obviously were damaged because of you're using extensively crystal meth, right? Mm-hmm. Did any of them say to you, hey, Desiree, what happened to those teeth? Are you doing drugs?
No, they just kind of look at you differently. They're just kind of like, they don't want to know. They just, the fact that it is what it is tells them all they need to know.
You know, I became mean and irresponsible, and didn't, you know, I thought nothing would happen to me. You're getting pretty close with that. Yeah, I thought I owned the world, and, you know, I was disrespectful and rude and inconsiderate, and that's not who I am normally. You know, I'm really nice and polite and respectful. So it does change who you are, even if you don't think it does.
A study conducted by UC Davis doctors in Sacramento of babies admitted to the neonatal intensive care unit showed that of over 6,500 of these babies, over 550 of them had methamphetamine in their systems. This means that young mothers, some of them 18, 19, 20, some of them not even out of high school, had enough methamphetamine in their system for it to get into their baby system. This makes these kids more than 4.5 times likely to have birth defects. Makes them more likely to be addicted to drugs when they're older. This has to stop. We have to learn to drug-proof our children.
How'd you pay for all these drugs when you were at home?
Free.
Why were they free?
Just, it was guys who had it on them all the time, and being that you're a girl, I guess there's certain ways to get away with it or whatever.
So you had to do a lot of things to get away with it so you could get drugs for free?
Yeah, I never went as so far as to sell my body or do anything like that.
Did you know people who had to sell their body to get drugs?
Yeah, I actually knew a couple girls. One night I came home and my brothers and my mom was sitting like in the living room, and my mom asked me to take a drug test, and I went in the bathroom and took a drug test. And the whole time I was laughing because I kind of knew that I was going to fail it, and I felt kind of disappointed in myself that my family was starting to catch on. And I started freaking out basically, and I ran out into the kitchen and grabbed a knife, and my brother kicked it out of my hands. I ran outside. My brother Jerry came and tackled me on the cement and grabbed me and pulled me inside, and they were telling me that it had to end, and they basically like handcuffed me and tied up my feet and were yelling at me, asking if I wanted to go to juvenile hall, and I was replying yes, that I didn't care no more. And then I ran into the bathroom, and I was actually I felt really down, and I like was wanting to commit suicide, and my brother knocked down the door and came in there, and then they stopped me, and then the cops came, and then I just calmed down. But earlier in that day, like, it's all drugs. Drugs makes you do things that you would never expect that you would do.
We can recognize this in one of our papers. It's the Sacramento Bee. And what's the title? Crank babies. These are babies whose mothers have been exposed, and now the babies have been exposed to methamphetamine. This is a problem.
I got pregnant with my first child when I was 14, and I had her at 15.
You have another child?
Yeah.
Were you using amphetamines while you were pregnant?
No.
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 When did you stop?
I stopped using when I thought I was pregnant, and I stopped using. Well, I was too sick with my first pregnancy to even get off the couch. All I did was puke. So, and then after I had her, I started using again when she was 6 months, a year. When she was a year old, I started using again.
So drugs have had a major effect on your life.
Oh yeah.
Which drugs did your mother use? How many different ones?
She used heroin, speed, cocaine. She drank. I don't remember all of them. I just remember watching the way she'd use them. So that's pretty harsh on an 8 or 9-year-old to watch your mom inject herself with something in the bathroom. So.
Does your mother talk to you about drugs?
Yes.
What does she tell you?
That it's not good for you and you could die.
This is another example. USA Today. Cold remedies sold over the counter containing pseudoephedrine. This is the raw ingredient for methamphetamine. Okay, so now we're up here at Raley's, and they sell a lot of medications here, so let's see what they have inside their store. We went to Raley's and went inside the store to find out how they're selling pseudoephedrine. Raley's sells pseudoephedrine over the counter, meaning that you can buy it on the shelf and purchase it at the register. This is Sudafed, the main ingredient, although not the only ingredient in crystal